Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the CSL 2017-2018 College League of Legends season. My name is Kyle Corvus Crow, and I am joined today by Steven Returned Johnson as we enter week 2 of the Varsity season with an East Regional match to kick off the day. This match will be between Waterloo and New Hampshire. But before we begin, those unfamiliar with the College League of Legends system this year, let us fill you in. Returned?
Thanks. Yeah, so this year we got a little bit of a new system along with the new name. We're no longer EULO, we are College League of Legends. We got a Swiss format coming at you with the 4 generic regions with the North, South, East, and West. We also got 2 Big Ten conference teams or regions. We got that split up into the East and West as well, following up with the Peach Belt Conference as to round out the comp. So 7 different conferences. Matches will be played from January 15th to March 10th, depending on which region you're in. And in the traditional conferences, each of the 6-0 and 5-1 teams will actually make it out. And due to the Swiss format, all the teams who have similar records will play each other. So this is actually a pretty big change. If you lose 2 weeks in a row, you are out of the playoff picture. And going on through, Big Ten, top 8 teams advance along with the Peach Bowl Conference. So those will be get into a little bit later in the season. But yep, similar to last year, first place goes to the regional playoffs to the championship, while the second place from each region will go to that championship play-in, along with some of those other Big Ten and Peach Belt Conference teams coming right out. And for all those who don't make that 5-1 bar, we got the Teemo Cup for you. Everyone going to a playoffs in some way, shape, or form with the championship of the national championship. Top 8 teams going on to LA.
Yeah, I'm excited for that Teemo Cup. Really am.
That's got to be the pinnacle of the season.
Oh yeah, definitely. Forget the rest of the stuff. Teemo Cup's all that matters.
Without it.
Don't forget stuff. It's very important information.
Yeah, we got 2 pretty storied teams coming to us, and you were talking to me before about how hype you were for Waterloo.
Yeah, Waterloo in particular. So a little bit of fun history here, a little CSL nugget for you all there. My first game ever casting with the CSL was watching Waterloo play. And I see a couple of returning players in the roster here, specifically Sherb and Shauner, but they kind of floored me the first ever time I saw them play on the collegiate stage. They took it to Harvard University and just stomped them in a beautiful 2-0. So it was great to watch. They set a great impression, and now I'm excited to see them here again, just what this new roster is going to do, because they say they're even more confident, right? They say that they're just ready to take it to a higher ceiling than they even were last year. So I'm ready to see that in action.
Yeah, they're bringing that new ADC, that new mid lane. And yeah, they're very confident. Most of their players peaked about the high mid-master point. They're ready to go into this one. And they even think they can make top 2 in the region this year. But you gotta go through every single step along the way. And their opponent for this match will be none other than New Hampshire. And they're quite a bit of a smaller school. Only 15,000 students overall. So not the largest pool in the world to pull from. And especially when you're starting to pick apart their team, you got to keep your eye on that mid laner, because he's not even a mid lane main. He is the captain, I believe. He actually used to be a jungler player, took it upon himself, was the biggest man, and decided to make that role swap to make sure the rest of his team had roles they could fill.
Yeah, no, I certainly think so. And with the jungle role in particular, what I think is actually not going to be maybe as big of a weakness as we think there is just that jungle is one of the more cerebral roles in League of Legends. And so he's going to be carrying over a lot of just map presence and experience as a captain into that mid lane role. So I'm really more focused on the mechanics, but we'll get to that in the game. Right now, we're in picks and bans.
Yeah, for those of you guys who have been following us as of late, we are now on patch 8.2. That means Nunu should basically be banned every single match over on that red side. It is absolutely busted with the Blood Boil giving bonus AP and attack speed, along with more damage now when you consume. It is absolutely insane. And yes, I do see that it does look like we have the teams on the wrong side. I will fix that instantaneously, and there we go.
Easy fix, easy clap. Coming out of the gate, Warwick, Gangplank, and Brand the bans. Nothing too surprising here. Granted, now with the 5-ban system, which we didn't see for a lot of last year, but I feel like most people are pretty used to now. It's really just eliminating the very general strong picks, and then we'll get to the more nuanced stuff around the second wave.
It is curious to see that Nunu hasn't been out here immediately. Normally it does fall towards the red side, because blue side, you're usually willing to play kind of the higher up picks, but there's a lot of top lane priority coming out right now from New Hampshire. Yeah,
they definitely don't want to deal with that Camille. That's actually a Shauner preferred champion, if I can recall correctly. There is something that he's very dangerous on. And so it's a strong pick in general, but in this guy's hands in particular, I think this is a really focused ban and a really good call from the mindset of New Hampshire here, just to make sure that's off the table. We're going to see what they rounded out with. They're taking their time, and there's that Nuno you were talking about.
Yeah, it's not going to make it all the way through. And even also looking at those top lane bans, those are all the generic Ornn counters, maybe lacking the Alawi, lacking the Vladimir, but that might be opening up Volcanos to pick the Ornn himself.
Yeah, that's definitely telling a story of, if we want that Ornn, this is very particularly what we might be building into. And just with as strong as this guy is in general, I don't think that you're really getting yourself into too much trouble picking Ornn this early, just because of how you can flex this guy, right? I mean, think of where he's been. Think of what positions you can put Ornn in and still somehow scrape out some success. But it is Jarvan the Fourth instead being picked up.
Yeah, still some stuff going back over, but my mind immediately falls to this Lulu first pick coming out of the side from Waterloo. And that's a lot of the changes we've been seeing in the ball link. So also on 8.2, it wasn't just a new patch, even though that might be what it seems like when you people talking about it. Yeah. But they also got rid of they changed the Relic Shield line. They changed basically all of the support items, so it had the new quest, so it doesn't give you the extra shield, and 50% healing onto those ADCs means that super sustained bot lane might not be a thing anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, quick picks coming out on the side of Waterloo. They know what they want. It's taking a little bit longer for New Hampshire. Maybe they're just talking it through. Maybe they're just trying to run out the clock and build a little bit of tension. But either way, they did end up taking Ornn in the first round of their draft, leaving a Sejuani Kog'Maw double grab for second round on the side of Waterloo, and that's pretty big.
I mean, when you're talking about showing your hands early, they have, flung the cards onto the table, got them lodged in New Hampshire's eyes at this point. Because, yeah, that is, without a doubt, a Juggernaut comp in the making. Sure, you can play around with what you play topside, maybe go a little bit more aggressive, draw some pressure down away from Inno, from Sherb, make sure they're not under too much pressure. But overall, I'd expect at least one more big tank to come out in a more support style mid lane, and just really play through the Kog'Maw.
Vel'Koz is not the ban I may have expected there. When you have a Juggernaut composition, the story's being told this early, right? You kind of aim to target that with your last two bans, and I don't exactly see how Vel'Koz fits into the narrative there, but I don't think it'll ruffle too many feathers either. Maybe it's just a counter pick type instance that might give a little bit of heads up over to the side of Waterloo. They're just going to stick to their original plan. They take away the misfortune. They're not too worried about it, and putting the ball very much back in the court of New Hampshire here.
Yeah, without a doubt. Also, misfortune being banned out negates out a lot of those priority ball lanes that could be formed outside New Hampshire. I mean, if you're looking to beat out Juggernaut early, just beat the Juggernaut. With that out of the way, maybe we're seeing a Caitlyn, maybe a Jhin, and maybe a Callista coming across here as the preferred priority. But now flip that back on over towards the side of Waterloo, and you need to find yourself this shoving out mid lane, because top lane, you're already against an Ornn, which is going to be an extremely rough matchup up there. If mid lane's not pushing, you could be in a 3 losing lane situation, and that is not how you scale.
No, absolutely not. And so, actually, probably a pretty good plan then on the side of good old New Hampshire here, just to get those 2 mid lane bans locked in, and then save themselves the last pick for the counter option, just so they know they're going to be comfortable. And it goes the other way, right? They know they're worried now on the side of Waterloo about the AD carry, so they ban out 2 high priority picks there and leave them to the Twitch. That's going to be Shinzu trying to put it together. A Twitch Braum lane, though, is got to be very, very frustrating to deal with. I don't care who you are, Kog'Maw, Lulu, or any other subset of champions. This is going to be... that would be interesting. I hope he locks it in.
That is a spicy pick right there. But even so, with Orianna getting locked in now as well, that leaves the door open for New Hampshire to pick up something like the Azir, who still should win out lane early versus Orianna, or a Xerath, who will just outright win lane. And now to see how much priority they're going to be able to generate in this early game. That being said, New Hampshire, they picked that Twitch on the bot side, which is annoying without a doubt, but it's not quite that oppressive pick. It's not going to put down Kog'Maw early. It's not going to put down Waterloo at all. But it's still giving them that option to scale up. And if they find one of those godlike picks onto Kog'Maw, it doesn't matter how many shields you have. If you just have enough damage on Twitch, you're going to make sure that Kog'Maw is dead.
Absolutely. And I don't think Scion necessarily is a pick that gels insanely well with the Juggernaut comp. It's not going to have any friction. It's not going to be a bad pick by any stretch. But there are other options that might feel a little bit more protective for him. I think the sign will do well in the front line sense and definitely give a big old meat shield for Eno to sit behind and just, spit out damage. But there's a lot of good backlining options here with the team that New Hampshire has drafted. A very strong draft with just Jarvan and Azir's ability to just get back there, Ornn's ability to turn team fights on their head, and Twitch's stealth. I think all give them a lot of tools at their disposal to really get in there and get after, on this Kog'Maw.
Yeah, I really like it because it's not the most conventional thing in the world, but you're pulling together all these parts where you can make the Azir play, you can make the Jarvan play, you can make the Twitch play, and you have ways of breaking up that straight team fight. Because when you have this kind of beefcake composition that you're seeing out of Waterloo with a Sion in the front lane, a Sejuani standing next to him, and throwing a Lulu on top to just wrap it all together, it's extremely hard to find any way to win a 5v5. So I really like this. They're finding their own style of dealing with the Kog'Maw, but that now revolves around them actually making these plays. You can set yourself up as well as you want to, but if you don't ever execute on it, there's no point in picking it.
Right, absolutely. That's very true. And it's a very cerebral draft that's come out from New Hampshire. I feel like they gave this a lot of thought and a lot of preparation. And the draft onto the side of Waterloo it feels very comfortable, right? It feels like these are all champions that they're just ready to come in and play, and maybe a little bit more lane focused with the Sion going into the Ornn. But either way, it is going to come down to a lot of execution because both of these compositions not only have the ability to outplay one another, they have the ability to kind of outplay themselves accidentally.
Exactly.
And
that's sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that they need to be very careful about how they approach these situations because you can't just expect my team comp beats your team comp.
Exactly, and that's also why I really like almost with the storyline here too, because New Hampshire's this team of big hearts that want to come in and knock out top Waterloo and show that they can make it to the big boys, and they've done so with this composition that relies on them making the plays, where on the other side, with Waterloo, you need so much discipline, so much execution to make this Juggernaut comp work. And if they're walking away with this one, they're walking away showing that, hey, we are the force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, definitely. Going to be a game of who can just keep the nerves under control, who can stay stone cold and execute on the comp that they've drafted for themselves, the plan that they've given themselves, because both teams very clearly know exactly what they want to do and what they need to do to win this game. So there should be no mental mishaps. I don't expect to see a lot of floundering here. I think whichever team does get a lead is going to be very, very quick to capitalize on that, just from what we've seen in this draft preparation. I think that could kind of give us a little bit of a clue to how they're going to be pacing the momentum once they find a small advantage.
Exactly, and something I also want to keep our eyes on as we go into this one has to be those junglers. These are the two highest priority junglers really on this meta with the J4 and the Sejuani. Being able to make so many early plays, not only pre-6, but once you get post-6, you have those giant ultimates that help out so much with the ganks. And it's really going to be up to Triple and BTM at this moment to see where they really prioritize that. Do you get the Azir ahead, or do you get the Twitch ahead? Or maybe, do you just stack on top of the Ornn? Do you try to knock over that top tower? And honestly, if you're looking at the composition from New Hampshire, the best way to really get that lane rolling early is find what's already winning and just win it even harder.
I certainly agree. I think Jarvan in that situation is a lot of the onus is going to fall on triple backflip here to just be ready in the right place at the right time to take an advantage in one of his lanes and turn it into something so much more. But while we load in, before we do get to that, we want to throw out a few social plugs here. If you are interested in joining our Discord community, we want you to know, just type !Discord into our chat there. Get a little bit of information on that. You can find us all on Twitter at twitter.com/CStarLeague or twitter.com/collegiatelol. Our Facebook is facebook.com/CStarLeague. And we want to give a quick thank you shout out to Twitch. Nothing but gratitude for the largest streaming platform in gaming to support collegiate esports. From PAX East and West and many more events, the CSL wouldn't be what it is today without the help and support from this great, great community. So big thank you there. Just had to get that out before we got into this game. And as we load onto the Rift here, I'm excited to see how this one pans out. I really am.
Oh yeah, this game is going to go big one way or another, because this isn't the tale of an early game team versus a late game team, and it just, at the very middle, kind of starts tilting back towards the late game. No, these guys are both looking for the same thing. They've got great team fighting elements, and they've got great late game team fighting elements. I think there's a little bit more early scaling an early priority coming out for the side over here of Waterloo, especially with that mid laner and with the jungle pressure. But all in all, something's going to happen and something big is going to happen.
Yeah, I definitely believe it. And I think that the players of this all know that pretty well as well. It's why we're seeing a defensive start come about. They don't want to risk blowing the game here at level 1, just sitting there and, to quote, well, you here, Return, just had a really unlucky start. Oof. So, classic unlucky.
Unlucky is not the way to start off. We are in for a best-of-3 series, so even if one team goes down here, there's still more time to come back. But that's definitely not the way you want to start off any series, with a kill going over to the other squad in the jungle. And yeah, it does look like both sides will be pretty safe. I want to see where triple backflip, though, is going to be starting up, because he's currently hovering that top side, and it does look like he's going to start up there.
Yeah, not too terribly surprising. I feel like the early game leash with Braum is actually really insane. So Breadsticks definitely could have given him a great leash there, but I feel like this may be indicative of the fact that he wants to end up around his level 3 in that bot side to just get the early pressure on Eno. We know this is a scaling Kog'Maw composition. We know it's something that they're going to be very worried about. So starting in the top side and just jungle pathing down to getting your early gank off first in the bot lane through natural pathing could set him up there to try to make some waves.
Yeah, great point there. And BTM on the Sejuani most likely going to go for the full, clear down to the bot side, end up down there. But even looking at triple backflip, he could go for a little bit cheekier of a clear. You can look for the one camp into a gank, but also does look like he will be going for that same kind of clear, end up on the bottom half of the map. And if you actually talk to some of these teams beforehand, they are very confident in their bot laners. Waterloo especially, they were talking about how they're very confident about, their new ADC coming in and how comfortable they feel playing around him. So, I mean, trial by fire here right now, so to see how it works out for him.
Yeah, certainly it's the part of the game, especially in a best of series in which you don't really know your opponent too well. You may have been able to do some research, but unless you've been scrimming them pretty routinely, you're not going to have a great feel for it. And so this is often, and this happens even in pro matches, just where players start feeling each other out. They're just getting the ropes, starting to understand, okay, this is how my lane's going to work. It's not too different than just the kind of randomized matchup in a solo queue where you don't know who's on the other end of that keyboard and how they're going to react to some of what you're doing. And so the passive play, very indicative of game 1 in a series, and it's usually the second game around where we see teams really start to turn it on early. So I wouldn't be surprised to have a quiet next couple minutes. It does look like Jarvan, triple backflip over here, starting on the other side of the jungle. He's going to be setting up for that. He will step on a ward here. But that's that gank we talked about. Here he comes in. Nice flash from Eno. And they might get the Braum proc off here, but it looks like he's out okay.
Flash already blown. You know exactly where triple backflip wants to come. But problem is, all of his camps up right now are on the top side of the map. So if he wants to come and really punish Eno, he's got to go grab those camps, get them rubber banding, so he doesn't fall too far behind. Because ever since the preseason where we really got rid of the catch-up XP in the jungle, it's become very easy just to fall behind and stay behind. And here it comes again.
Yeah, he's ready. He knows the flash is down. He's got one of his own, though. Says, here's mine. They got Braum in on it. And Eno, first blood goes down. Probably felt a little too comfortable there.
A little bit of fighting going on top, but how to take down a Juggernaut comp. Step number 1, kill the Kog'Maw as many times as possible during the lane. And this is a very oppressive lane. Anything really with a Braum and equal power ADCs early on will always almost go towards that Braum, just being able to lock down people so quickly. And still, there was no response play from BTM to go get the flash away from Shinzu. So you're still in the lane with flash versus no flash. If he does not play safe these next few minutes, can just be ganked again and again and again.
Yeah, absolutely. You had champions in which flash is maybe not the most important for the AD role. Kog'Maw's not one of them. Flash is absolutely important. Just not having it puts your next 5 minutes just in such a dangerous territory, in such treachery. So, treacherous territory, sorry, not treachery. And so now, to have already died off of that and to still not have the flash while the opposing laners have it up, that is going to be a little scary. And it opens up the door for triple backflip to kind of do whatever he wants here, right? He's given a great berth now to Shinzu and Breadsticks, and it's going to open just the option for him to decide, hey, what's next on this list for me? Is it Shauner? Is it Foxloo? Who am I trying to kill?
Exactly. It's great to see some of these Jarvan players. When they get that early advantage, they can just keep running with it. That's why this champion is at the top of the priority list for nearly every single team we've seen so far. Yeah, still we got Jinzu coming back down to bot lane. Not going to be able to get too much just yet. And honestly, without jungler interference, I wouldn't expect this advantage bot side to go completely off the rails. But mid lane could be getting a little bit closer as we get ever so closer also to level 6. And can't wait for that Oriole plus the Sejuani ult ganks.
Yeah, it's going to get pretty team fight oriented just with some of these, even just in the individual ganks like what you talked about. We're going to see a lot of these AoE ultimates start coming in and start really doing a lot of effective damage. Triple backflip and Diaker there. The two of them are going to have an award-winning dunk combo for the ages.
Triple backflip, he knows exactly where he wants to go.
And for this one, Eno is exhausted, but the heal will get him out in time. The teleport's coming down, so now they have to decide how far do we want to pressure this. Looks like it will be canceled out. So Eno choosing to stick around. There's not a flash worry from triple backflip, but Eno doesn't have his either, so a big risk to stay up here and be ready. But with the Sejuani roaming down now, with BTM there in the wings, I think it's one they're pretty willing to take.
Yeah, that play was a little bit botched. Breadsticks was never actually able to auto-attack or Q onto Inoue, so never got the Frozen Bite stacks down. Weren't going to be able to lock him down, but that TP out of Shauner, which opens up plays across the map still, as it looks like New Hampshire, they want to keep this pressure up as long as possible. Keep Inoue from getting onto that big 2-3 item spikes you can hit on Kog'Maw, because at that point, fighting becomes very difficult.
And it's a question we need to take stock of and ask ourselves. Yes, it was really, really great that triple backflip, and especially for Shinzu, they were able to get that kill early on the Inoue there. But how much does this really set the composition back? What position now is this really going to do to stop Inoue if they can't keep these routine ganks coming through?
They've got to just find some other way. So maybe that's establishing them in lane priority, start threatening Diaker to try and roam down, because that's like we also saw in the back end of that last play. When BTM went down to bot lane, Foxloo was not able to stay in that mid lane as well. He's doing a lot better now, but you had Diaker who was hovering around that river and was unable to be seen, meant that they had no idea where he was. They were terrified that a Azir was just going to show up in the bottom side of the map. But this is also great control now coming out of BTM and Foxloo. Look at the line of vision they have set up down there. They never want to lose sight of Diaker.
And you can tell that this has been a very big resource draw for BTM here. We've not seen a lot of presence out of him just on this situation. Hang on a second. Shauner's just got Volcanoes down. Says, I don't care where it is, under your tower, in your base. I'm going to find you. I'm going to kill you. And I'm not worried about it. He died with Flash Up. He died with Ignite. He obviously didn't take that threat too seriously. Here's a serious threat, though. AR coming in. Foxloo does get the Shockwave down. They're going to be flashing in for Diaker, but Jarvan is there. Can triple backflip get his mid lane out to safety? It looks like with a stun, the answer will be yes. And we will just back off. A couple summoners blown for the mid laner of New Hampshire, but all in all, does stay alive.
Yeah, great job actually from triple backflip, making sure the Dio got out alive. Sure, he blew those summoners. He's already not having a great time in that mid lane, but that could have been so much worse if that kill went over. But you guys saw what happened last time someone blew their flash and heal on a gank. Inoue just got camped hard in that bottom side of the map, and if you're BTM, you're looking to run that one right down mid at this point.
Also blew his flash for that entire exchange, but I don't think it's going to bother him too badly, because he did get both summoners out of Diaker there, and I believe it was like a very clean flash for flash. He flashed in right as Diaker was getting out of there, and so the big takeaways is that since they were so aggressive, Foxloo really does have his flash to be aggressive and use his heal very defensively this time around, and so it's very much going to put the New Hampshire mid laner on the back foot, and it looks like their plan here is just
rinse and repeat.
Send triple backflip down.
If it's not broken, don't fix it. But unfortunately, still great vision control coming out here for Waterloo. Definitely showing their veteran set is just a little bit more, making sure that they are not going to be ganked repeatedly on this bot side. Question now has to be, where do you find your next advantage if you're New Hampshire? Because that mid lane, it's not looking too good. You don't even have Foxloo's flash or heal down. It's going to be incredibly hard to make a play down there. In top lane, Volcanoes, who we've normally seen the Ornn just winning out nearly every lane he's in, as long as that man on the other side of the rift name is not Jace. He just gave up a pretty big kill up there, and I don't see that stop anytime soon.
Yeah, a solo kill for that matter, too. There was no interference from triple backflip. It wasn't like BTM came up and helped Shauner just secure this gank. That's a clean 1 for 0 just takeaway, and it was under tower 2, so at a minimum, it has to give a little bit of a psychological impact, right? How are you dealing with this if you are Volcanoes? Because that can be very hard to bounce back from. Especially when triple backflip seems the plan is just keeping his business elsewhere.
Exactly. Volcanoes, being behind isn't the worst thing in the world. Another great thing with Orin is that you still do provide this big team fight impact, especially now that Breadsticks will be on the Braum, so making sure that the other team didn't quite get that pick. But even so, that's just putting another point of pressure into the hands of Waterloo, who know what to do when they have that pressure available to them. Look at the CS differential as well. This has been a very New Hampshire-oriented bot lane. They put so many resources in here, and he's 21 CS down.
Yeah, the gold is going to keep. It's about 100 gold between them, actually in favor of Inouye there, and the CS is just making up for that kill difference.
I mean,
Arjun, not what you want to see at all. The wards are really saving their bacon here, but it doesn't seem like it's going to stop triple backflip, right? He's just saying, you know what, I'm in for this, and you put a ward, I clear a ward, and that's the way it's going to go. The problem is, it seems like a war of attrition building up, and that give themselves every advantage on other parts of the map while this is happening.
Yeah, no doubt. And even, don't just look at the bot lane, look at the mid lane too. You got another nearly 20, yeah, that is the 20 CS differential. Gonna be about towards that 18 now. Top lane, another 20 CS differential. These are extremely troubling numbers when you go forward picking the scaling composition. If you cannot stay even on CS, or even slightly losing, as I like to call it, gracefully losing, you're not going to hit that late game point.
Yeah, you mentioned the CS differential in the top lane too, and whereas the bot lane, where the CS differential is only making up for the one kill given over, it's the CS differential compounding with the one kill now on the side of Waterloo. They have that, and that gold difference is actually going to be insane. It's about 4,100 on to Shauner's Scion there, whereas
he's stuck between 3 people.
This is not good for him. Triple backflip's been playing the back line a lot. 4 people. He does try to get out through Foxloo, but unless Dioker can save him here, there's not much. The Shockwave does not connect, but BTM is on him, and that will cost the ultimate, but it's an easy trade to make for the kill, and to put the cherry on top, they give it over to Foxloo.
That was a very ill-informed jungle route right there. So what happened was he tried to make his way in, thinking that he had the advantage on his side. Tried to set up some vision on the bot lane, maybe even setting up for a bot lane dive as well. Volcanoes now switching over towards that teleport. He had the spellbook, got off the ignite, definitely wasn't able to make anything happen with it early in the game. But the problem was he did not have the shoving lanes on his side. His bot lane had no priority, mid lane had no priority, meaning that when he got caught out on wards that he should have known were there is nobody coming to save him.
Ooh, good point, but now it looks like a little bit more in the bot lane. I think Shinzu and Breadsticks wanted something there and quickly decided to change their minds. Maybe just trying to make the most of the stealth while they had it. Far, though, has to be the worry for Volcanoes in this top lane, because Shauner has now taken his tower away. He's going to call the ultimate, but Scion says, hey, I got one of my own. See you later, skater.
Oh, that is one of the greatest interactions I have ever seen. Just Scion running alongside the Ram, not even being phased by it. But that's pretty big. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's 2 unstoppable forces running right through each other. What happens? Age-old physics question answered. They just passed through like wind.
Keep going. Yeah, even so, with the top lane, it's been a very low budget, a very low priority lane up there. No jungler even existing on that half the map, it feels like. That is a huge upset going for that first tower. That's a lot of extra gold in the pocket. Compound that with the already existing CS differentials in every single position, maybe save the jungle. And this is a good lead you can really benefit from. Next thing has to be, though, where do you take that advantage and turn it into those physical advantages as well? Because we're starting to hit that 2-item spike coming out from Foxloo. That's really when you're going to want to hit this teamfight phase as well. Rageblade already completed for Inouye. Want to see the Renault's Hurricane come out as well. But once you hit these big item spikes, there is nothing keeping them from just walking around absolutely everywhere before New Hampshire has scaled up efficient enough and just take everything you see.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the way they're approaching it too, because they definitely want to get these items first, but they've shown so little interest in any other neutral objective besides that, any other neutral objective or focus objective like that top tower. That's the only one that they've really levied a lot onto. We've not seen any approaches around the Rift Herald. We've not seen any vision around Dragon, except for, occasionally slaying the Rift Scuttler, whoever gets that one on cooldown. And it seems like neither team is very focused on, oh, what happens if we lose Rift Herald? Oh, what happens if we lose Dragon? They don't seem to care. They just want to keep farming out their lanes, playing this kill game that's gone ever so slightly now into the favor of Waterloo. And it's the CS game that they're trying to play to really take this one out, but objective focus otherwise.
Yeah, don't want to jinx anything here, but this definitely is very reminiscent of the Jin Air 94-minute game. As no one's really worried about the early game because both sides know, all right, all we have to do is hit this late game and then we'll be ready to fight. And when that happens, it really comes down to junglers to dictate the control elsewhere. And yeah, triple backflip, he had a great first few levels on the map, forced the flash, got the kill on the bot side. He hasn't really had an impact anywhere else. It has been this defensive game from BTM that's really keeping Waterloo on top in this one.
Yeah, we did just see triple backflip try to make something happen. Oh boy, this is going to be big. He's coming down. Nice knockup coming in, but Annoy will be buffed up by that Lulu. They're going to try to turn the damage on him. The TP goes back around as BTM and Shauna are now in the fight. Breadsticks could be in trouble here. Does go down. Annoy picks up another kill for himself. It's not going to stop at one. Double kill as Shinzu goes down as well, and the bot lane tower will surely be the next casualty of war as they instantaneously flip the switch and go ham.
And here comes the cavalry. They are ready to turn this one on, to flip the switch and pump the acceleration pedal to the floor. That was just great map awareness. Chandra got the TP out first. They had the reactive plays. They knew exactly where the play was being made. They, with the aggressive vision they've established, and from there, they just turned it completely on their heads. Unfortunately for New Hampshire, they kind of wanted to find some way to knock out Inouye early in this one, but they just don't have the tools for it, and more importantly, they don't have the setup for it, and now they are 4K in the hole against the Juggermaw.
With a Mountain Drake.
With the Mountain
Juggermaw
Drake.
with a Mountain Drake. Yeah, that's always a fun little addendum, is that Mountain Drake, maybe not the most contested or prioritized of dragons, but always one that you never want to have on a Juggermaw. Position that's so frustrating is you can do everything in your power to shut down the Cogmoth. You can throw every resource you have on it, but if you just get nice flash out.
Yeah, if you just get ult to the mid lane, just walk on away, I believe is the moral of the story at that point. But yeah, there still just needs to be this scaling game coming out, and you're gonna see this rotation now from the early game centric style that New Hampshire had at start. Now they're going to this, all right, we have a Twitch, we have an Azir, just throw all our money late game and we'll keep it on. But to check in again with the return CS counter, 30 CS is the differential right now on that bottom side. Inouye is not being punished in any way, shape, or form.
2 more kills to boot, right? He got those 2 kills from that last exchange in the bot lane, so it's not just like he is only going to be soft scaling off of, hey, here's another 10 CS to this gold differential. It's 10 CS and 2 kills. So he's going to have a lot of freedom to just run around, do whatever he wants, get in somebody's face, and it really is just bouncing back very well from that first initial death that they were able to pull out on him.
Oh, without a doubt, and he's currently sitting at about 1.2k gold up on his direct opponent. BTM might be looking for something here. It's a little bit of an overreach, as not sure they want to dive the tower just yet. Also, quick story note, we haven't seen a single stopwatch blown yet this game, and there are 7 of them.
Yeah, League of Stopwatches, not today, not happening. They're just all there for good measure. And certainly some places we could have seen them used, right? I mean, there are definitely times, I think, particularly with Volcanoes under that tower, that first death he experienced. But they just decided, you know what, it's not worth it. Maybe he knew he was dead anyway. Maybe he just didn't think to swing it. Either way, you're right, now the single stopwatch blown. That's pretty impressive to me, actually.
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about how League of Stopwatch slows it down, but they've gone one step forward. The non-usage of League of Stopwatch has pushed League of Stopwatch back to make that slower, to make the overall game slower. So basically what I'm saying is 120 minutes the dream here. But besides that, BTM, he's going to be looking to go aggro.
Ooh, Shinzu getting out of there with the stealth position if they found him out there, but he did have the stealth. Now he's quite behind his back line and not going to be too worried. Ooh, yeah, not good for triple backflip. He did not want that. The ult is flashed out of, and BTM will not find it there, but it's only buying some time because Shauner's up to his old tricks again. Different lanes, same matchup, and he's here just to keep things pushing in. So I think the side of Waterloo are very, very content just to play this one out. They don't care too much that we didn't get the kills here. It didn't happen because they know they can just keep the pressure up. They know they can keep chipping away at this turret, especially now with the Mountain Drake in their favor. And Shauner's just going to do the rest of the work for him. He is powerhousing through this.
Exactly, and looking at this team composition, we've talked a lot about the Kog'Maw because that's like the #1 thing that stands out. The backflip, he might get out of it. Ooh, wait, he might go down.
He's getting chunked a little bit. BTM's there. It only depends on whether or not he thinks he can brave the tower. Nice little juke, but definitely not the position you want to be in, especially so aggressive without his flash. Triple backflip almost got himself into some real trouble there.
Exactly, and kind of going back to that last point, we've been talking a lot about Inoue. Ooh, there's the first stopwatch.
Easy boy. Yeah, there it goes. Bye-bye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we finally had our first stopwatch go on over in very dramatic fashion, so there are only 6 remaining left on the board. But for the third time now, we've been talking a lot about Inoue, but even so, he's definitely going to be a big part of this fight. But if you get rid of him, you still have to deal with how big Foxloo is as well, because he's on that 2-item spike. He has the Sword Shoes, he has the Leandre's Torment. He is ready to just press R, one-shot Dioker, one-shot Sinzu, who have built no magic resist whatsoever. And I'm not even sure that if you get the perfect engage onto Inoue, you just win a fight anymore.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty questionable at this point because now the defensive tools are really starting to scale up, and it's gonna be almost the right set of circumstances, right? It needs to be BTM cannot have ultimate up. Ideally, sure won't have ultimate up. You got to catch it while Foxloo maybe a little bit on. There's all these conditions building up to it now, as the map is only getting tighter for New Hampshire. Make this a little bit daunting of a task.
The classic highlight reel or bust composition. It's what you love to see. And look at how much pressure they're trying to put on that top side. In Waterloo, they just want complete control of this vision game.
Yeah, well, that's been something they've been prioritizing very early from the start, right? Waterloo, a lot of early jungle presence with BTM just to keep wards down, just to try to keep that bot side of the map safe. So it's no surprise now that they're just playing the ward game here around Baron, the objective that they know they need to control. But it almost feels like they're looking for a little bit more of a pick than they are actual Baron control here.
Yeah, and speaking of all these metas, and they will definitely be moving on towards that top side, and they're looking for the tower, but you know what the tower is great for? All these support items. Ardent Sensor. If you guys thought League of Stopwatch was something, don't forget the greatest meta of all time. Just buy the Ardent Sensor, let it rip, and that's going to be going on to the Lulu, buffing Inoue even further. And I'm trying to like calculate this in my head. If Dioker, if Shinzu, if Backflip, if literally every single person on the side of New Hampshire hit Inoue in a fight, would they even be able to kill him? Because you still have an Ori shield, you still have heal, and you still have overgrowth plus shield coming out of Lulu. There might not be enough they can throw at this.
I think it's only if triple backflip gets him in the Cataclysm. So set of circumstances, do they have that chance? If he's free to kite back and run further towards his front line, then no, I don't think that they have that option on the table anymore. Baron, though, definitely going to sweeten the deal here if you are a fan of Waterloo, making you feel a little bit better. I'm sure giving this team a little boost of confidence. They're all back. They will have no money in their wallets because they've spent it now at the shop, and they are ready to go. So this is going to be a very, very volatile time for New Hampshire.
I mean, they've got on the other side for Waterloo, they have the 2 items completed now onto Inoue. He has the Rage Blade, he has the Runon's Hurricane, and forget about the win condition of just making a flashy play. The win condition for this game basically has to be front page of Reddit at this point.
Yeah, certainly so, because that would be all of the eggs in one basket, and they're building their threats otherwise is the problem. And Inoue could get taken down, but even so, there's no guarantee that the damage now that Foxloo's been able to acquire for himself with all the items he's got with BTM, who, keep in mind, almost solo killed triple backflip, has just ready to throw out there. So may kill Inoue. You may find this perfect. Dang. Dang, that's a hell of a immediately. There's triple backline. He's in. That's the Cataclysm, but it's only on a Sherm. Inoue getting knocked up in the backline. The exhaust is there, but it's only 2 members, and Shinzu dies in the backline. It is. Oh, they are going down everywhere. It's a double kill coming out. Inoue still firing off fast. No one down from the side of Waterloo. 3 deaths coming out for New Hampshire, and a tower to boot. This is likely the final seal on this game.
Oh, he's still going. He wants more.
He's got it. Volcanoes, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The flash will not save you this time. And Azir, a little bit slipperier. Dioker could get out of that one, but certainly in no position to defend these towers. I do believe that they will be putting the cap on this one pretty soon. Might back off after the inhibitor, but
yeah,
at a point, because I think they could replicate that again. The side of New Hampshire threw everything they had at that fight and weren't able to come away with it. Now there's no ults besides Dioker and Shinzu, and I don't think that's enough anyway.
Without a doubt. And at the very beginning, we were talking about how this game is turning into Juggernaut 101. Well, I have to tell you, Inouye certainly passed his first set of exams, and he's going to come out of that one with a nice Blade of the Ruined King to show for it. And still more and more items, while you're still stuck in this very awkward phase for New Hampshire where you only have the 2 items on your main carries. Shinzu really needs 3, if not 4 items to be that backline threat that could potentially be the answer to this comp, but backflip, he might be caught out in this one.
That one, the flash helps, but Kongba's just there and finds it anyway. Nice 3-point shot from half court, and will take that one out and away.
Yeah, unfortunately, 3 backflips is not enough. You need the full 4 if you want to get out of that fight, and he just didn't have it in him. As this is going to be Waterloo, they just want to take this entire game right here, and I wouldn't be shocked if they did it.
The Sean Wygan there, like 3 backflips isn't enough. I love it. This is probably pretty bad for New Hampshire. Like we said, though, good news is it's a best of 3, so they do have a couple more chances here to put their seal on this and prove themselves. With the Swiss format, this has got to be pretty tough.
Kog'Maw is the front line at this point. Oh, no.
He's not too worried. He's just going to be cleaning up kills. They still have triple backflip just came up from his original death, so they are not even going to be able to have him protecting them on the side of New Hampshire. This is bad. He's just fountain trolling at this point. In roughly 27 minutes that this game ends, so nice, strong statement coming out for Waterloo here. They're not too worried about this coming into the second game with the impression they've made.
Yeah, heck, that is one of the most decisive game ones I have seen here in quite a while. They played to their competition. They didn't go too aggressively hard at the start in Waterloo. The only death they have, the only reason this is not a perfect game is because of that early death coming out from Inouye. But just like that, they were able to flip on the switch, get everything rolling the exact way that they wanted it, and they're going to walk with an extremely convincing Game 1 W here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Very good point, too, that their only death was the first mishap. It was the first blood kill coming out. Triple backflip and Shinzu making that one happen. Shinzu played a pretty convincing game, honestly. Didn't have possibly the showing he wanted to. But into that role, to have the only kill for the team, only 2 deaths, pretty low in contrast to the 3 that the majority of his teammates had. I feel like the tools are there for this particular AD carry to have a better showing in lane, because he was not as far down in the CS differential as we saw in other places. Just a little bit of a tough turnaround, and certainly great capitalization coming out from Waterloo here, because we saw them just took 1 play, right? It was slow pacing, kind of slow game. Then we had this huge 4-man play, 5-man play in the bot lane, and they turn it into a couple kills, they turn it into the tower, and the whole thing blows wide open.
Yeah, and kind of the last thought here before we throw it on over to that break is they really didn't seem like that style fit the glove for New Hampshire. They had this very long, drawn-out scaling style, but the issue with that is they just fell so far behind the lanes. And yeah, they showed that they wanted to make some of those early plays, like you saw triple backflip making that first kill on the bottom side, but they just didn't have enough in the tank to really keep that one going. So game number 2, if nothing else, I'd love to see them, maybe especially for Shinzu and Breadsticks, pull out something just a little bit more aggressive, because we saw what happens when it's late game scaling versus late game scaling, and the answer is 8-1 and 1 Kog'Maw. So
yeah,
curious to see what adaptations come on out of here.
Yeah, well, we will get into that pretty soon, but we are going to kick it over to a break, just a few minutes in between, let these players catch their breath, strategize for the next game over, and run it down further into the series. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.